Welcome back to Yossr English. Today we are going to talk about something that I think about a lot, and maybe you do too. Why is it that some people go through the hardest experiences of their lives and come out completely transformed, and others go through those same kinds of experiences, sometimes worse, and come out exactly the same? Same patterns, same complaints, same mistakes, same place they were 5 years ago. And this is not a judgment. This is a genuine question because change is hard. Real change, the kind that actually sticks, is one of the most difficult things a human being can do. And yet, some people do it. Quietly, steadily, genuinely. They become different, better, freer. And others try and somehow always end up back at the beginning. So what is the difference? What separates the people who truly change from the people who stay stuck? And more importantly, how do you make sure you are in the first group? That is what today's conversation is about. And as always, while these ideas are landing in your mind, your English is being trained at the same time. Real sentences, real vocabulary, real rhythm of natural spoken English. This is your listening practice on Yossr English Podcast, so stay with me. The first reason people never change. They are waiting for the pain to be bad enough. There is a moment that almost every person who has truly changed can point to. A specific moment, a breaking point, a conversation or an event, or a quiet Tuesday morning where something inside them finally said, enough. And they meant it this time. Not the way they had meant it before, where they felt it for a few days and then slipped back, but really, genuinely, deeply meant it. And what most people do not realize is that they are waiting for that moment to arrive before they start. They are waiting to hit a wall hard enough, to lose something significant enough, to feel bad enough for long enough, as if pain is the only valid permission slip for change. But here's what I want to say about that. Waiting for rock bottom is a dangerous strategy, because for some people, rock bottom keeps moving. Every time they think they have reached it, there is somehow further to fall. And the habit of waiting, the belief that they will change when things get bad enough, actually becomes its own trap, because they have trained themselves to need crisis in order to move. The people who change most consistently are not always the ones who suffered the most. They are the ones who learned to respond to discomfort before it became disaster, who noticed the early signs, the quiet dissatisfaction, the small, persistent feeling that something needed to shift. And they took that seriously before it became a catastrophe. So, if you are waiting for a sign, for a dramatic moment, for life to force your hand, consider this. The discomfort you are feeling right now, however small, is already the sign. You do not need it to get worse before you start listening to it. The second reason. They change their words, but not their environment. This is one of the most common reasons change does not stick. And it is so easy to miss because it feels like you are doing everything right. You read the books, you watch the videos, you feel inspired, you make the decision, you tell yourself this time is different. And you mean it. You genuinely mean it. But then you go back to the same apartment, the same routine, the same people, the same daily patterns. And slowly, without drama, without a single obvious moment of failure, you drift back. Not because you were weak, but because your environment was stronger than your intention. Because here's the truth about human behavior that most people underestimate. We are incredibly shaped by our surroundings, by the people we see every day, by the conversations we have regularly, by the physical spaces we inhabit, by the small, repeated details of our daily life. And when those things stay exactly the same, the pressure to stay the same is enormous, almost invisible, but enormous. Think about it this way. Imagine you were trying to eat healthier, but your kitchen is full of the same food it always was. Your friends still suggest the same restaurants. Your evenings follow the same pattern. Your intention is real, but everything around you is quietly, consistently pulling you back toward the old behavior. Now think about someone who actually changed their kitchen, who had an honest conversation with their friends, who restructured their evenings, who made the new behavior easier and the old behavior harder just by adjusting their environment. That person is not more disciplined, they are just more strategic. Real change almost always requires environmental change. Not dramatic, not expensive, not impossible, but intentional. Small, deliberate adjustments to your surroundings that support the person you are trying to become rather than the person you are trying to leave behind. The third reason. They focus on the destination instead of the identity. Now, this one is subtle, but it might be the most important thing I say today, so stay with me. Most people approach change like this. They pick a goal: lose weight, stop smoking, be more confident, save money, improve my English, and they focus entirely on achieving that goal. They measure their success by whether they reached the destination, and when they do not reach it, or when they reach it and then slip back, they feel like they failed, like they are someone who cannot change. But the people who change permanently think about it differently. They're not just trying to achieve a goal, they are trying to become a different kind of person. And that shift in thinking changes everything. Let me explain this with a simple example. Two people want to stop smoking. The first person thinks, I am trying to quit smoking. Every day is a battle between who they are and what they are trying to do. The second person thinks, I am becoming someone who does not smoke. That is who I am now. Every time they refuse a cigarette, they are not resisting temptation, they are acting in line with their identity. Do you feel the difference? One is a constant fight, the other is a gradual becoming. And this applies to everything, including your English. If you think of yourself as someone who is bad at English, every mistake confirms that story. But if you start thinking of yourself as someone who is in the process of becoming fluent, every practice session, every new word, every conversation you push yourself to have is not a struggle, it is evidence, evidence of who you are becoming. Identity change is slower than goal setting, but it is so much more durable because you are not just changing what you do, you are changing who you believe yourself to be. The fourth reason. They treat setbacks as proof that change is impossible. Everybody who has ever changed has also failed along the way. Let me say that more clearly. There's not a single person who has made a significant change in their life who did not also have moments of going backwards, of slipping, of returning to old patterns, of waking up and realizing they had undone some of what they had built. The difference is not that some people avoid those moments. The difference is what they do when those moments arrive. The people who never truly change treat every setback as confirmation, as evidence that they are fundamentally unable to do this, that it was always going to end this way, that they are just that kind of person. And so they stop. And the gap between the last attempt and the next attempt gets longer and longer until eventually there is no next attempt. But the people who truly change treat setbacks differently, not with toxic positivity, not by pretending it did not happen, but with a kind of honest, grounded perspective that says this is part of the process. I did not fail permanently. I stumbled, and stumbling is what learning looks like in the real world. There's a concept I love, and I want to share it with you. The idea that progress is not a straight line. It is more like a spiral. You come back to similar places, similar temptations, similar struggles. But each time you come back, if you have been doing the work, you are slightly higher on the spiral, slightly more equipped, slightly more aware. And what knocked you flat last year only slows you down this year. And what slows you down this year, you will step over next year without even thinking about it. Setbacks are not the end of the story. They are part of it. The fifth reason. They are changing for the wrong reasons. This one requires honesty because sometimes we think we want to change, and we do want to, but we want to change for reasons that come from outside us, to impress someone, to prove a point, to earn love or approval, to show someone who doubted us that they were wrong. And those motivations can get you started. They have energy, real energy at the beginning, but they are not sustainable because they are not yours. They depend on other people, on their attention, their reaction, their approval. And when that external fuel runs out, when the person you were trying to impress stops watching, when the point has already been made, the motivation disappears with it. The change that lasts comes from a different place, a quieter place, not from wanting to prove something to someone else, but from a genuine, private decision that you want a different life for yourself, that you deserve more than the patterns you have been living, that the person you are capable of becoming is worth the discomfort of the becoming. That kind of motivation does not need an audience. It does not need validation. It burns slowly and steadily from the inside, and it is available to you on the days when no one is watching, on the ordinary Wednesday when nothing is dramatic and no one is applauding, and you still choose the better thing. Those days are where real change is made. So how do you make sure you are someone who actually changes? Listen to discomfort early, before it becomes crisis. Adjust your environment deliberately to support who you are trying to become. Stop focusing only on the goal and start building the identity of the person who already lives that way. Treat every setback as data, not as a verdict. And find your reason inside yourself, not in someone else's opinion of you. And then do the thing that sounds simple, but is actually the hardest part of all. Show up the next day and the day after that. Not perfectly, not without struggle, but consistently, with honesty about where you are and patience about how long it takes. Because change is not a moment, it is a direction. And every single day that you choose even slightly better than yesterday, you are already someone who is changing. You might not feel it yet, but you are. I hope today something in this conversation gave you something useful to carry. Not just the ideas, but the English words and sentences you absorbed while listening. Because that is what we do here at Yossr English. We practice the language through conversations that actually matter, that touch something real. If this episode resonated with you, leave a comment and tell me honestly, what is one thing you have been trying to change but keep returning to? You do not have to share details. Even just acknowledging it to yourself in writing is a step. Subscribe to Yossr English for a new episode every week. Real English, real conversations, the kind that stay with you long after the episode ends. This is Yossr English. See you in the next one.